In this video, I'm testing a trading strategy on the 5-minute time frame that claims to have an 88% win rate as said
I
right here.
tested this trading strategy 100 times and found it has an 88% win rate.
So let's explain what the strategy actually is using some free indicators on TradingView. Then I'm going to test it 100 times in a row and show the full real results based on my testing. This strategy uses two free indicators found on TradingView by Lux Algo. The first one is called the TRAMA, which is Trend Regularity Adaptive Moving Average, although you do need to change the settings to 15 as the default is set to 99. Mine is in white here, so I'm just going to get rid of this one. Now, the next one is the support and resistance indicator called support and resistance levels with breaks by Lux Algo as well. And that is this red line and blue line plotting support and resistance lines on my chart. This indicator also gives you buy and sell signals in addition to the support and resistance lines. Now let's go over the rules to this trading strategy. It's worth noting that this is a buy-only strategy, so you'll only be looking for times when first, the resistance level is broken to the upside. Then you need to see a bullwhick signal given from the support and resistance indicator as well. So on this candle, we see the break in resistance with the bullwhick. This will be the entry candle for a buy position. There's going to be no stop loss placement with this strategy, as you only exit when the trauma line starts pointing down. So the first candle that closes below the trauma line, that is going to be your exit. In this example, you would exit right here once this candle closes below the trauma line. Here's another example of a valid buy signal where we see the resistance line broken to the upside with the bullwhick signal giving us a long entry. We'll be closing it as soon as we get that first close below the trauma line when it starts pointing to the downside right here on this candle. So this one is also a winning trade. Here's another valid buying position where we see the resistance level broken to the upside with the bullwhick signal giving us a valid long entry. We would close the position once we see the trauma line starting to point down, which would happen on this candle's close, resulting in another winning trade. Here's an example of an invalid bullwhick signal where you would not take any entry due to there being no break in resistance. Now here is an example of a bullwhick signal that ends up being a losing trade. We see that price comes up a little bit and then closes back down below the trauma line at a small loss. Now that's probably enough examples so you can understand what I'm going to be testing 100 trades in a row. So it's about time I'm going to fast forward through my back testing and get to all the results in detail after the testing. All right, the results are in after the 100 tests, and these are some very interesting results considering that there's no stop loss used with this strategy and there's no take profit target with this strategy since it's only based on that trauma line starting to point downwards. So let's get into the results here and cover everything. I'll explain how I kind of calculated an average risk to reward ratio and then kind of made it fit with my gain on the account figure, just like I've done on all of the other strategy test videos. So this way I can compare it easily to all the other strategies I've tested. All right, so let's take a look here and let's talk about this. So markets, what did I test this on? Well, it was tested on Bitcoin against the US dollar, NAS 100, Euro against the US dollar, and Ethereum against the US dollar. And that was just due to the lack of price data available on the 5-minute time frame of TradingView. Obviously, this was tested on 5-minute time frame using a variable risk to reward ratio, kind of not applicable there with the risk to reward ratio. The time for 100 trades was 13 months, which is extremely long for a 5-minute time frame strategy. Winning trades, 49. So 49% win rate. Not quite that 88% win rate as advertised, although I don't know what pair was tested on, so I can't say how accurate their test results were compared to mine, but I'm showing you my full results. They didn't show anything in the original video talking about this strategy. So 51 losing trades, of course, so 51% of trades are losing. The most wins in a row being 5 and the most lost in a row being 6 is not too bad, not too big of a drawdown if you're risking 1% of your account per trade. The average win, so getting to how much did this actually win on average. The average winning trade would put your account up by 0.417%, and the average loss would bring your account down by 0.236%. So you can actually trade with leverage if you're using this strategy on a 5-minute time frame, since the risk is very low. It's not, capturing massive moves for the most part, and it's not having huge losses for the most part, as the strategy, the condition that it has to close out of the position happens quite quickly, and it's a 5-minute time frame, so these are not huge moves that you were talking about here. So definitely you could use some leverage with this strategy based on this test. The average risk to reward ratio ended up being a 1 to 1.76. So what we're really talking about here is a strategy that has a 1 to 1.76 risk to reward ratio, but a 49% win rate. So that's actually very good. A 49% win rate with a 1 to 1.76 risk to reward ratio is good. That's a good strategy. So I actually think that this is a great strategy. I don't know where they got the 88% win rate from, but based on this test, following all the rules as they said in the video, 49% win rate, still doing really well considering how the risk to reward ratio is 1 to 1.76. So overall gain on the account, assuming that all losses equal minus 1% and all wins are plus 1.76%, 35.24%. So that's taking 49 times 1.76 and 51 times 1, and then just subtracting the 51% in the negative from that 49 times 1.76. So that's where we're left with that gain on the account figure. And that's just to kind of fit it onto my strategy ranking spreadsheets. And this is not a normal test compared to the rest of my strategies where stop losses are involved and strict risk to reward ratios are often used. So yeah, this one is an interesting one, and it actually did very well considering it did take a very long time for all those 100 trades on a 5-minute time frame, but it still did really well. So I think this is a good strategy just based on this test. Obviously, going to need to test it quite a bit more times. 100 is just not even close to enough. And clearly there's a big discrepancy between the 88% win rate and the 49% win rate that I found. So I'd be interested to know what pair that was tested on to get an 88% win rate, or if that's a real number, or if they're just using that for marketing purposes. I don't know, because it's a free indicator. I just don't see a reason why they would lie about the win rate, other than to maybe get views, because typically videos with having a high win rate do really well, and that video they uploaded did do very well. So that's the only thing I can think of why they would lie about the 88% win rate, but I just don't think that's big enough incentive to lie about the results. So I just, I don't know. I'd be interested to see their test results personally. So anyway, what I'm going to do is put this on the strategy ranking spreadsheet. We'll see how it lines up against the other tests, and then we'll call it a day. All right, let's check it out. All right, here it is on the strategy ranking spreadsheet, falling at spot number 28 out of the now tested 82 strategies on this channel. And this one falls in kind of that upper mid-tier range, so doing quite well. Definitely a worthy strategy worth looking into, although not 88% win rate based on my test. Again, I'd be very interested to see what pair they tested this on, or if they did something a little bit differently, or if they even tested it at all. So here's the actual results based on what I have found, and there's not too much more to say about it, as I've done plenty of discussing in the previous segment, but definitely something that you can take a look at and try and improve even more. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and hope you have a great day.